Hello chess friends and welcome to your of Chess channel and welcome to the crazy game from the Tata Steel Rapid and Blitz chess tournament in 2024 that we have followed now last week. We have here Magnus Carlsen against Arjun Erigaisi in an amazing Kramnik variation of the Sicilian defense, in which, believe me or not, Magnus Carlsen got destroyed in only 20 moves with the white pieces. This was very spectacular moment of this event. We know that Magnus Carlsen was really dominant. He won everything, the Blitz section, the rapid section, and this was actually his only losing game, which was really crazy. Only 20 moves have been played in this game, and Magnus got destroyed because of a huge blunder in the opening stage. So let's see now what happened with white. Magnus opened with the move e4. Arjun's response was c5, knight to f3, e6, the French variation of the Sicilian defense. Magnus plays now the Kramnik variation with c4. Arjun develops it. Now Magnus goes into an open battle with the move d4. C takes d, knight takes d, and now after knight to f6, Magnus protects now the pawn on e4. And here Arjun plays a very aggressive bishop to c5. And basically there are two good options. Here you can try maybe knight to b3, attacking the bishop, or you can try, like Magnus did, the move knight to c2. If you play knight to b3, it leads then probably to this line, bishop to b4, attacking the knight and also putting more pressure against the pawn on e4, and then white would continue probably with the move bishop to d3. And I think in one moment Black could give up maybe the bishop for a knight, could maybe mess up white's pawn structure on the c file, but then would have probably some dark square problems all over the place. So that's why here also very interesting line, but playable for both sides. But Magnus, instead of knight to b3, he played knight to c2, prevents of course the move bishop to b4. But this move gives here Arjun Erigaisi the opportunity to hit immediately the pawn on f2. You could maybe try here immediately knight to e3, which is in my opinion a good choice. It is a good defensive setup, which is not allowing here Black to play the move knight to g4, but Magnus played queen to d2, protected now the pawn on f2, and Arjun puts more pressure with knight to g4. Really an amazing attack already. This attack has been played in only one game that I see in the database, and actually the game ended with a draw. The game has been played in 2023 between William Bishop and Helen Sherwood. Players are around 2400 rating, so it's, I think, sort of an international master level. So I see Arjun played really interesting and rare line, knight to g4, hits immediately with the pawn on f2, and Magnus Carlsen, believe me or not, doesn't react correctly in this line. What should you do? Here you can try knight to d1. It's perfectly fine. You protect here the pawn on f2, and in one moment afterwards you will then kick away the knight from g4, and then you start to develop your pieces, and you could get out of this opening in a good way. Magnus tried the more aggressive f3, which is also still perfectly fine. This position should be about equal, but now again the follow-up was really not great. After knight to f2 by Arjun, Magnus plays now the counter attack, perfectly fine. Knight to a4, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop. Here Arjun drops back, and now here knight to c5 by Magnus, and Arjun takes out now also the rook on h1. And so far Black is up the exchange, but Black has a tough time now to bring the knight somehow into the game. So the knight is out of game. Knight to g3 cannot happen. Also here the knight to f2 cannot happen because the king and queen are covering here the square. But now what Magnus Carlsen should have done in this particular position, he could have played here the move g3. This is perfectly fine. Or you can play the move f4. After f4, we're following now the game that I've talked about, this William Bishop against Helen Sherwood game, in which this line has been played. Then here castling was played by Black. White tried bishop to e2, d5, here king to f1. Here white allowed Black to take the pawn on c4, but now after move e5, finally this knight will be taken. This d6 square can be occupied. So still a pretty equalish game where Black gave up maybe here two minor pieces for the rook, but has gained also some pawns. So a playable line now for both sides. But what Magnus Carlsen, instead of g3 or f4 did, he played now a queen to f4, and this was now a huge blunder. And actually from this point on the game is over, believe me or not. We're now in move 12, and Magnus doesn't react correctly. Here Arjun finds of course the amazing queen to a5, hitting the king and also hitting the knight. Now it's almost a lost position. Magnus tried b4, but even if you try, I don't know, even if you try bishop to d2, it doesn't help you out. Maybe you reach this line, you're trying maybe to attack the queen, but nothing dramatic. After a couple of trades of pieces, after a couple of trades of queens, this position is not so dangerous. Look at this, black can try f5, and in one moment, I've just analyzed a little bit here the position further. You can even try here to attack the pawn on g2. Look at this. Black is still up. The exchange has gained also many pawns. You're trying, I don't know, something like rook to g1. We can even pick it up. Look at this, bishop to f3. So as I said, I've just continued to play a little bit here at home this line. I've really searched maybe for an opportunity for white to get better out of this opening, but nothing is working. Even this bishop to d2 line is not working. But Magnus Carlsen played even the worst continuation with b4. Arjun says, okay, why not? Knight to b4, taking king to d1. Again, even if you try knight to b4, Arjun Erigaisi would probably take. We'll take also the knight here. We step back here to e7, and again, nothing gained here for white. So it's again a losing game here. After knight to b4, Magnus tried king to d1, but now Arjun can also get the knight back. Look at this. This knight is supposed to be taking here on h1. Now it's getting back into the game. Here Magnus tried to attack it, but now this knight is lost. Look at this. The position is really collapsing. Knight to a1. Here Magnus relies simply on an attack here against the king, but nothing is helping out. f6, queen to d6. Here b6 by Arjun Erigaisi attacking the knight. Arjun tried here knight to e6, but now after queen to c4 here in this particular position, Magnus Carlsen resigned. So what's the issue? Of course, if you step back, then we pick up this one, and this is simply too much material here by black on the board. Black would continue the game with 2 extra rooks and also with too many pawns here on the board. So fair resign by Magnus Carlsen. So what happened here, I don't know. Usually Magnus is also a great theoretician. I'm not sure if he was familiar with this line. Probably it was a mistake just because of this faster time format. In classical time format chess, I think Magnus would not play, of course, this mistake. But great win for Arjun Erigaisi, and this game actually spiced up a little bit the tournament because Magnus was in the lead of the Blitz section of this Tata Steel event, and then when Arjun won the game, Arjun in one particular moment took over also in the event, but then it didn't work out for him till the end. Magnus again won the Blitz section, and Arjun finished on the third place. So great tournament by Magnus Carlsen. Let's repeat it again. Magnus won everything again, but also cool game here by Arjun Erigaisi. He outplayed Magnus Carlsen in this Kramnik variation of the Sicilian defense. So, okay, if you want to see some other beautiful games that we have covered from this event, check out our games here that we analyzed before. Here are some links, and if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.